The concept of flat feet is a recent phenomenon with the adoption of heeled footwear and narrow toe boxes, further developed into arch support and toe spring, all done to mimic the taut and explosive shape of the windlass mechanism. But in coercing the foot into this position for hours a day, the body slackens and conforms to the imposed shape, denying it the ability to relax and contract, to expressing its full range of motion. We've all experienced the results of a declining range of motion. What was once a full depth squat is now a partial, and even something you may avoid. What about that preemptive wince that you make before you take the stairs? The range becomes less and less over time as we age. Now, the same thing happens with our feet. Most of the components have atrophied from lack of engagement. And with the foot weakness, our development upstream has also suffered. Hyperpronation, a duck walk, tight and unstable ankles, knock knees, and underdeveloped glutes and hip flexors. While conventional shoes are definitely to blame, they were only designed that way to counter the issues people were facing. That would be the heel strike walk. Did you know that the Calcaneus has a range of motion? Yeah, it does. It pivots. You can wiggle it right now to about 8 to 9 degrees. It may seem like a small motion, but it is extremely important to pronating and supinating the position of the foot. The inversion and eversion of the calcaneus is never considered in the gait cycle diagrams. They only show it from the side view. And only recently have we even recognized that pronation under load is perfectly natural. The calcaneus moves in tandem with the talus bone when the toes are dorsiflexed and when the foot is in full plantar flexion. So this is a vital component in dynamic performance, because these are your pointed toe position and your squat position. And yes, it also includes walking. With the modern method of walking, the feet are mostly turned outwards onto the heels. And when you land on the heel first, it's disastrous. Wearing a heel, which is a state of plantar flexion already, places the calcaneus in movement towards inversion. And this is something that a shoe can't accommodate. So they added arch support, trying to mitigate that effect, but made it worse by constantly squeezing the midfoot to supinate. Shoes, especially sneakers, are designed by reverse engineering your foot position at its strongest shape, but that is not suitable to accommodate a foot's full range of motion through any activity, much less walking. Walking puts a load up to 4 to 5 times your body weight, and at 3,000 to 10,000 steps a day, that is a lot of practice in a limited range of motion. Constantly striking a heel while it never reaches end range inversion is dysfunctional. Narrow toe box turns the big toe laterally, creating another problem. The big toe is the forefoot support for the supinated position. The heel inverted is the hind support position for supination. Oh, and remember the toe spring. You see, the calcaneus inverts when the toes are extended, and the toe spring is putting the toes in a constant state of toe extension. Now, if you wore shoes early in life and wore them fitted and laced properly, as you were told to, you may have never experienced a fully supinated foot. This would be even harder if you happen to be overweight as a child, putting more load onto a foot that is unable to demonstrate a full range of motion. Try walking with your feet turned inward slightly, and you'll feel how your hips wind up, and maybe your feet arch will raise. Stiff shoes get in the way of this winding and unwinding rotation, and the foot needs this to perform every step in the gait cycle correctly. If your calcaneus stays in eversion throughout your gait cycle, you'll remain in pronation, losing the ability to fully articulate the heel. The tibialis, posteriorly and anteriorly, are inverters of the calcaneus, but a full range of motion will be strengthened in tandem with the peroneal muscles. This is why I recommend landing on the forefoot. It allows the heel the chance to articulate, inverting and everting. It is unable to do that when the pressure is placed on the heel. Also, this allows the forefoot to splay and contract to absorb the impact while the heel pivots towards eversion, allowing for dorsiflexion of the ankle. Now, when pressing away, the tandem pull on the calcaneus from the plantaris, soleus, and hallucis muscles pull the foot into its most explosive position, which is supination, and that needs an inverted calcaneus. This then engages the windlass mechanism, which is a rigid pose that can transmit the greatest force. Every step that doesn't engage the full range of motion is ingraining dysfunction and will lead to pain and further injury in the long run. So what can be done about it? First, you'll need to change your footwear. I advocate for a barefoot lifestyle, or at least barefoot shoes. And you can see my reviews of some of those options on this channel. Second, we can start to mobilize your calcaneus by gently pivoting it through its range of motion. You may need to perform some form of myofascial release on the tibialis and peroneal muscles to get the sensation. Third, we can practice poses, such as the seiza pose of sitting your butt between the heels, which also requires your toes to be pointed towards each other. As you develop the practice of this position and extend it over time, you will gain comfort and you will allow your calcaneus to then invert. Fourth, I'd like to see you practice banded calf raises with the band around the calcaneus and ankle. Banded seiza can also be performed with toes in dorsiflexion if you can handle it. It will help you explore your foot function in that position also. For the toe presses, you like to perform anywhere from 20 to 30 reps for 2 to 3 sets. Giving your nervous system a chance to develop, these practices should get you familiar with the proper function of the feet, and specifically the calcaneus. And this may be the only video you'll need to address your hyperpronation. If not, and you need further exercises or help for strengthening your feet, I've just released a foot strength program on my website, grownandhealthy.com. There you can choose a 6-week standalone program or sign up for coaching of the program where I can review and address your form and progress. My program will improve your foot muscle activation and alignment. The guided coaching portion of the program includes reviews of the exercises and tracking, creating accountability. You can find further details about the program in the description below. This has been Grown and Healthy, the channel where we explore self-improvement through movement. Thanks for watching.